about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics.
Alright, YouTube, it's Charles here with a review of Don't Forget Your Briefcase. Number 1 from Mad Cave Comics. I bought this at Midtown Comics through the MidtownComics.com website. And it caught my attention. It's actually on issue number 3 as a recording. And it caught my attention because the cover was very flashy. It looked like a bit of an espionage type story from Mad Cave Comics, who I've recently discovered, but have not been disappointed by yet. So I figured, well, I'd take a chance. And I searched for number 1 and 2, and they actually had it discounted on sale when I put in this order. So, it's a happy circumstance that I figured I'd get 1 and 2, and if I dig it, I'll go back for number 3. And guess what? I am definitely going back for number 3 because this is a lot of fun. The book starts off literally with a bang. The whole first page is a big fireball. It says boom, and it describes the scene there. Our defensive systems have failed us. Barrage of intercontinental ballistic missiles, each with 500 kiloton yield or more, making their way toward the target destinations across the United States, and nothing could stop them. In less than 15 minutes, everything that once was and everything that could have been will be lost. And so I'm thinking, if that's where we're starting, where are we going to go? But then you turn the page, and we see the familiar face of President Jimmy Carter, and what it does in a very clever way is it explains the history of the nuclear football. And what that is, if you don't know, is the briefcase that is always carried by a service member with the president that has the launch codes and the ability to fire the nuclear missiles from anywhere the president's at. And they do it in a very clever way, first explaining it to Jimmy Carter, and then we cut to this guy here who's the one doing the explaining, and it goes all the way back to JFK, and with each point of explaining this, it cuts to different presidents. Looks like Nixon, Ford, Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump. Finally get to Biden, and we find out that this is being explained to a soldier, a young lady here looking rather upset in a big conference room by herself with so I don't know the rank, but I think maybe a general who is explaining this new assignment to her. And she is oddly not stoked about it, which we'll find out more about as you go through the book. And then we cut to the Leadership Academy, and Ryan Parker will meet our next character who's going to be focused. A young man who is in the midst of a brutal fight over a briefcase. I know, what a coincidence. 2 stories featuring a briefcase. Will it matter, or will it, you can probably guess where it's going. But we find out that he has been bullied because of his status in this school, not being the son of a big-time politician or whatever, and carrying around his father's briefcase, who has apparently passed away, and the briefcase, as opposed to a backpack, is his way of kind of connecting to him. And then we cut to his mother, who is kind of a mousy, reserved person that really, out of all the characters, she seems to kind of blend in the most, and is just a normal, concerned parent. And she's been, getting explained about the bullying and everything at the school, and so that's where we are in that storyline. We have the frustrated soldier, we have the young man, and his mother. And those are going to be our main three characters in this book from the looks of it. And then we cut back to the conference room with the soldier. And I think this is going to give a lot of context. This exchange of where, superiors asking her, do you have any questions about this assignment? And her reply is, I don't know, I bought a pack of adult diapers for my first day just in case. And what did I say? She's kind of being glib and sarcastic about this assignment. Then she says, listen, everyone knows I got this job because I won't retire, and they don't know what to do with me. So now I get to spend the next 4 years as a political prop. This whole thing is just for show. They will never actually need me. And her superior says, but what if they do? Are you ready for something like that? And she says, of course, Doc, I'm a Marine. And so that is where we leave this thread. And we go back to, actually no, we cut to her, the Marine, and the young man and his mother turning in for the night, contemplating, what are the next steps. And again, it's that while they don't initially tell you a lot about these characters, it's done in clever ways. Through the writing, through the art, you get to know these characters without having a heavy-handed introduction. And we find out that, his mom works at the White House because he has to go to work with her because he's been suspended for a couple of days. And so he's frustrated about that. He's going to be bored at work. And we find out that this day is the swearing in of a new president. And so we cut to this scene here when they're at the White House. And everybody that works at the White House is standing by to greet the president. You have all the staffers. She is the communications director there at the White House. And then you see the staffers here, and directly across from her is some kind of moving guy or maintenance guy, because we know that during the inauguration, the old president's moved out, the new president is moved in, and so he seems to fit there. Nothing unusual. Wink, wink. And as the president passes by, and this new president isn't based in reality for obvious reasons. It really limits your storytelling capabilities when you're dealing with a real person. But, this president leans down to shake the hand of the young man there and his mother, and they talk for a moment. And then the moving guy reaches into the box and says, excuse me, Mr. President. The president turns around and says, yes. And then, blam, the president's head is a red splotch. And everybody ducks for cover. And it's chaos, and the guy is apprehended, and the young woman, the lady and her son are escorted rapidly out of the White House, and while they're at home kind of recovering from the day, she goes to her son's briefcase for some reason. I don't know, to check I'm not sure why she goes to the briefcase. But when she opens up the briefcase, you see this look of horror on her face right here. And it's never shown what is in the briefcase, but what she does is immediately run to the bathroom, open her toilet, where there is a cell phone and gun taped to the top. And she says into the phone, this is Foreign Intelligence Service Office, Katrina Milford requesting immediate support. Boris, translated from Russian, I think I might have accidentally started a nuclear war, to be continued. So, where we are is we have a Marine who has been outcast from the Marines for some other reason and assigned a detail that she is not happy about. We have the young man being bullied because he goes to school with a lot of dignitaries' kids, and he lost his father, and we have the mousy, seemingly innocent young widow who turns out to be a Russian asset. So it starts off with a boom and it ends with a boom, and I cannot suggest it enough. If you're in the stories of espionage, action, definitely suggest this. I have number 2 to get to as well. If it really stands out to me, and if I think it merits its own review, I will do it again. But a lot of times when I read a book, even if I really highly enjoy another issue of it, I won't cover it unless it breaks new ground or I have something entirely new to add to the narrative, or else I'll get repetitive with these reviews. But I can tell from right off this is going to be a fun series from Mad Cave Comics. Don't forget your briefcase. Number 1, get it while you can. I got mine at midtowncomics.com. Easy to use website, shipped nationwide and securely. So I'll see you guys next time. Till then, keep reading them books. I'm out.